A Holy Grail. Wait, this isn't a Holy Grail. This is the Holy Grail. Lemons. No. This is definitely a Holy Grail. No, that's not either. How about this? Wait, what is that? A 3DO? Go down! So I wanted to talk today a little bit about Holy Grail games and consoles, my opinion on them and other people's opinions. See, I think a Holy Grail should be classified like this. I think it should be something that's very hard to find all the time. Like if I go to Amazon or eBay right now, I should be able to find one or none at all. Like for instance, Rule of Rose. I just checked how many copies were available. Even though it's rare and expensive, there are still 28 copies available right now for sale. Also another thing, I've seen guys on Reddit be like, I just got my Holy Grail and it's a complete Pokemon Red or Ice Blue Fantastic Nintendo 64. Those are rare, but they're really not Holy Grails. So I've put together this list and let's get to it. Okay, so I'll be doing this list from easiest to find stuff to impossible to find stuff. I will be telling you how many of them I found for sale and the estimated values. Oh, and there will also be European and Japanese games on this list. Siphon Filter 3 9/11 edition. I was able to find 2 of these. There's nothing remarkable about this game in terms of gameplay. It's a normal PlayStation 1 third-person adventure shooting game. The reason it is so rare is because of the cover. It was meant to release on September 25th, 14 days after the 9/11 attack. And for some reason, it was decided that the flag on the cover would somehow represent the attack. So the game was recalled to be replaced with a different cover. But some copies still made it out into the public. There are very few, and many of them have the UPC code punched, which indicates they were intended to be promotional copies, distributed to the employees only. I estimate the value around $2,000 to $3,000. Damon Vector. I was able to find 2 of these. This is a Japanese-only, technically Taiwanese-only, original Xbox game. It is a medieval hack-and-slash action-adventure game. It actually looks like it might be pretty fun. I'm probably going to be picking this one up soon. I've seen its rarity be compared to Metal Wolf Chaos for original Xbox. But at the time when I looked them both up, I found 35 copies of Metal Wolf Chaos and only 2 of these. So yeah, not quite the same. I'd estimate the value around $550 to $650. This is the Jordan Grand Prix PlayStation 1. There were 2 separate consoles made for this one, and they are both just as rare. This version with the Hornet was given out to magazines to promote the release of a Formula 1 racing game. There were only 20 of this version made. This other version with the snake on it, according to consolevariations.com, only had 10 total consoles made. This was given out as a first prize for the winner of a contest promoting the release of a Formula 1 game. I was actually able to find 2 of the version with the snake for sale. It was priced at $7,000. But because of its rarity, and there only being 10 of them, I would personally value it much higher. So, if you got a bunch of money and can afford it, it is available right now on eBay for $7,000. Ra 1. This is a PlayStation 3 game based on a strange Indian science fiction Bollywood movie of the same name. It was released only to promote the movie of the same name. It was only released in PAL territories. The one written review I could find of it from its time of release gave it a 1 star, and said it was basically a very repetitive arena brawler with no substance. I was able to find 2 copies of Raw 1 and would value them around $200 to $250. But, in my opinion, this goofy-ass movie looks more entertaining than the game. The Zeebo. This is apparently Brazil's first exclusive game console. Released back in 2009, it was digital only, and from what I know, there are 2 versions of this console. I myself actually own both of them. I realized how rare they were a few years ago and picked one up. I then later realized that the rarer one was still out there, so I had to seek that one out too. The reason this other version is so rare is that it came with an extremely rare download of the Resident Evil 4 cell phone port. And it's the only console it was ever released on. This RE port is terrible, but for RE collectors, it is certainly a holy grail to be had. I also just found out that there is a Prey game that is exclusive on the console called Prey Evil. It's pretty bad too, but it's cool that it's on there. As of the time of writing this, there is one of the rare Resident Evil 4 versions for sale. I would estimate the value at around $500 to $600. Blaze Blue Central Fiction for PlayStation 3. This is the North American version. I also own this one. I ended up picking it up about a year ago from a GameStop for $30, not knowing it was worth so much at the time. Blaze Blue is a fun series of fighting games that were later adapted into a manga based on the games. I always think it's interesting when the games come before the book or manga. I was able to find 2 of these North American versions for sale, and I would estimate the value around $130 right now. Our next item on this list is another console, and it's a very recognizable one, but a very rare version. The Famitsu Game Boy Light skeleton version. And just look at that case art, it's awesome. The artist is Japanese and goes by the name Rockin' Jellybean, and he is known for his provocative drawings of young women. Here's a tribute to Street Fighter he did. There were only 5,000 of these special edition consoles made, and obviously you would want to seek out the complete in-box version. I was able to find 2 of these for sale. I would value it around $1,000 to $1,500 right now, but it will go up in the future. Lost in the Rain for PlayStation 3. This was a common game in Japan, but the rare version is this English-Chinese version with full English subtitles. It's a visually beautiful adventure game built around a central mechanic of invisibility for puzzle solving. Where you and the enemies are only visible when you are standing in the rain, otherwise you are totally invisible. It has simplistic but sometimes challenging puzzles. I was able to find 2 copies of this English subtitle version and would estimate the value around $400 to $500. Up next is Barbie Groom and Glam Pups. I know guys, it's an exciting one, but try and keep calm. So, it looks like only the 3DS version here is the rare one, not the DS version. It was very hard to find any information on why this one was so rare. But I'm assuming since this game was released for the 3DS in 2013, and the DS version was released in 2011, that there probably just wasn't enough demand for this Barbie game. so I'm guessing there wasn't many produced for the 3DS. Maybe it's another reason to pick up Bibby and Tina for the Switch right now. I don't know, could be worth it. I was only able to find one North American copy of Barbie Grim and Glam Pups for the 3DS for a staggering $2,600, so keep your eyes open for this one.
Find costumes here. These are the different colors.
Germs for PlayStation 1. This game was released only in Japan, and I've had my eye on it for quite a while now. It's an open-world exploration game where you can navigate by walking, driving, or riding the bus. It has first-person combat and puzzle-solving elements. If you lose, you don't die, you are infected, and you have to rush to the hospital to cure your infection. There is a mix of science fiction, body horror, and surrealism later in the game, which makes it that much more interesting to me. I was only able to find one copy of this game for $1,000. Dynasty Feud for PlayStation 4. This is a Spanish-only release for PlayStation 4. I noticed the rarity of this game about 2 years ago, so I bought a sealed copy. It's a fast-paced 4-player brawl game kinda like Smash Bros, but a lot more simplistic, with a large roster of characters, around 40. To my surprise, when I went to look this one up for this video, there is one available sealed for only $75. So if you want something rare right now, it is available on eBay. The 3DO Alive and 3DO Robo. First off, the 3DO Alive was styled to somewhat resemble the PlayStation 1 and was only available in Korea, so it's pretty rare. But the more interesting console was the 3DO Robo because of its story. This system was used in love hotels in Japan, which of course are hotels used for making friends with other adults. The console was capable of playing adult games and movies, so there was a partnership formed between Panasonic and Love Hotels. Because of this partnership, there were adult games created specifically for the 3DO to be viewed at these hotels. Because of this, the 3DO is one of the very few home consoles to feature adult-only games. I was not able to find any of the 3DO Robos, but I did find one 3DO Alive for $3,400. Diamond Trust of London. This is the first successfully crowdfunded Nintendo DS game. Crowdfunded on Kickstarter back in 2012. In this game, you are controlling a diamond trading company. The goal is to extract or mine the most diamonds with a combination of bribery and deception. I was able to find 2 copies of this game sealed for only about $40, but it looks like the rare version of this game is the limited edition one, which comes with some extras and is autographed by the creators. I only found one of these for about $600. Aozora to Nakamatachi for PlayStation 1. Another game from my collection. This is an interesting one. In this Japanese-only PlayStation 1 platformer, you are controlling this cute elephant that was apparently the mascot for Aozora, which is a bank in Japan. I have not seen anyone else talk about this game before, so I was glad that I discovered it so I could tell you guys about it. There is also what appears to be a Pokemon-style battle system at the end of each level. Although I'm not 100% sure of that though, since I can't read it. It may just be trivia. I don't know. I was able to fumble my way through it and have some fun with the platforming though. At the moment, there are none of these available for PlayStation 1. Apparently I got the last one. But there is one for Game Boy Advance, and it appears to be the same game from what I've seen. I only paid $90 for my PlayStation 1 copy, but I think I got lucky with that. I would value it more like $200 to $250. Timothy versus the Aliens. I picked this one up about a year ago. It's another game released only in Spain for the PlayStation 4. In this game you play as a detective in a somewhat large open world where you have to shoot the aliens. I thought about saving this one for a released in Spain only PlayStation 4 video, but I think it fits well here, so I just went ahead and used it now. I think that this game is going to end up being very hard to get in the future. So if you want a copy, there is one available as of right now on eBay for about $60 sealed. Next up is another system. Well, kind of two systems. It's really the same system with two different names. The Megaduck and Cougar Boy. It looks like the Megaduck was sold mainly in the Netherlands, France, and Germany. And the Cougar Boy was in South America, mainly Brazil. The gameplay was a lot like the original Game Boy with simple green shaded graphics. And from what I can find, there are only about 45 games documented. Some of those were even ported to the Game Boy as 4-in-1 or even 8-in-1 cartridges. And of course, they did not have the licensing from Nintendo. I was able to find only one of each of these for sale. The Megaduck was around $200, and the Cougar Boy was about $500 because it was complete in box. Veggie World for Wii. I picked this one up a few years ago for about $100 because I noticed it was pretty rare then. My copy is sealed. It is a 1 to 2 player colorful horizontal shooter where you control your ship and reticle independently from each other, and everything is fruit and vegetable themed. If you want this game, it's surprisingly expensive now. I found only one copy for about $300. Complete. Cyborg Kuro-chan for PlayStation 1. It is Japanese only and based on a manga and anime. Later adapted into this side-scrolling run-and-gun platformer. The plot is that you are a house cat that is kidnapped and modified into a cyborg by a mad scientist to become part of his cyborg army. You break out and become a vigilante that has to battle the scientist's other cyborgs. So yeah, your typical manga plot. I was only able to find one of these for sale for around $300. Okay, so here is where the real heavy hitters start. The ones that at the time of making this I could not find any of. First up is the rarest North American PlayStation 3 game, NBA Elite 11. I'm pretty sure it was also planned to be released for Xbox 360, but there are none out there that I'm aware of. I'm not sure. Okay, so the story with this game is right before the launch of the game, the developers decided that they wanted to completely change the game's controls. But they didn't have enough time. They also had a demo released during development that was absolutely plagued with glitches. So bad that EA took a look at it and deemed its quality too terrible to release, so it never had a release at all. But you know how that is. Somehow, a few copies still made it out the door, and are now worth an insane amount. I have been watching sales of this game for the past 10 years and have seen a few go for around $30,000. But with inflation, I wouldn't be surprised to see an authentic copy complete go for around $40,000 to $45,000. The E-Crew Developmental Program, or the ECDP, is a Japanese McDonald's training game for the Nintendo DS, along with two other cartridges, the eSmart and the eSmart 2.0. Also, the DS console branded with the McDonald's arches are some of the rarest Holy Grail items that there are. The game teaches new and existing McDonald's workers how to cook, serve, and basically work for McDonald's, and includes simulations for cooking and interacting with customers. If you want to know more about this game, there is a YouTuber that did a full documentary about his journey acquiring this game. His name is Nick Robinson, and he is one of only 5 people to be documented as owning a copy of the game. And he evidently owns 2 of the systems as well. I'm not bitter. I'm happy for him. He reportedly paid around $3,000 for his copy of the game, so that's where I'm putting the value. Aquanauts Holiday for PlayStation 3. This is another Chinese English version with the English subtitles. This is the second game in the series. The previous one was on the PlayStation 1. The game plays out like an underwater adventure mystery. You play as a journalist in search of a missing oceanographer, using a submarine to explore the sea for clues. I'm not sure why they would give a journalist access to a submarine to pilot on their own. I don't know, the game probably explains it. Probably. I was only able to find one of these English subtitle versions for sale. Based on that one and past sales, I would value the game around $400 to $500. The Louvre Tour for the 3DS. This is another one on the list that consists of 2 items. First is the North American 3DS game itself, made for the purpose of guiding people on a tour of the Louvre Museum in Paris, France. These are only available in the Louvre gift shop in France, nowhere else. So they are rare on their own. I was only able to find 3 for around $600. But the rare thing here is the second item, which is the special edition 3DS system that you can only rent while you are on tour. They are not available for sale anywhere. And as far as I know, there are none in any hands of any collectors yet. So, given that information, I would estimate a value around $4,000 to $5,000. But that is just me venturing a guess based on other rare special edition 3DS consoles.
That runs parallel to the first and leads to the Venus de Milo. It also contains statues of Greek gods and heroes. The statues you can see here are Roman copies of famous Greek works from the
Outback Joey for the Sega Genesis. Probably the most recognizable thing on this list if you know a little about collecting. This cartridge has definitely been sought after, but you might not know the details. Like you might already know that it's a game that incorporates a heart monitor to play it. You play the game like a normal platformer, but your character's speed is determined by your own heart rate, so you have to exercise while you're playing, otherwise your character will slow down significantly. Another interesting thing about Outback Joey is that they made an even rarer Sega Genesis console variation along with the game, called the Heartbeat Personal Trainer. All 3 things, the game, system, and the heartbeat catalysts, which were sensors you needed for the game to register, were only released packaged together with a total run of only 1,000 units each. I don't really think I have to say it here, but I have not found any of these for sale other than the game once. If I were to venture a guess for a value for all 3 items, I would say $30,000 or up would not be unheard of, since the last loose cartridge I could find info on sold for $5,000 alone. Children's Miracle Network bundle for the Xbox 360, and ESA Foundation bundle for the Xbox 360. These are both triple packs for the 360. The first one consists of Viva Pinata Party Animals, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Shrek the Third. The second one for the ESA Foundation also has 3 games consisting of Cars, Fusion Frenzy 2, and Open Season. Obviously, none of these games in these compilations are all that special, and they didn't even come on the same discs. So what you were getting were the original 3 games in their normal cases in a single box set. So really, it's just the box that's the rare thing. I was able to track down the Children's Miracle Network bundle, so I went ahead and got it for my collection. I paid $250 for it, but I think that's a little undervalued for how hard they are to find. I would estimate the value more around $300 to $400. Game Boy IQ Year of the Dragon Edition. Okay, so first of all, if you're unaware what an IQ is, well, it's basically a company in China that worked with Nintendo to localize some of their handheld consoles for the Chinese market. They are built exactly the same, except instead of them saying Nintendo, they say IQ. So these are kind of rare on their own. But one of the ones specifically that I'm talking about is from my collection, the Game Boy Advanced SP Year of the Dragon Edition, which I'm pretty proud of because I think it looks pretty nice and it took me about 4 years to find one. There are none for sale right now, but based on what I paid for mine, about $250, which was around 5 years ago, so I would estimate the value now at around $500 to $600. But it does have a companion piece that is much rarer, the Year of the Dog Edition. I'll admit that it's not as nice looking, but I haven't seen one of these for sale in the last 10 years. So if I were to venture a guess as a value as of right now, I would say $800 to $900. The Super A-Can. This is a rare 4th generation cartridge-based console that was released alongside the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. It was released exclusively in Taiwan in 1995, with only 12 games ever produced for it. A few of the games actually look pretty fun, and I wouldn't mind adding them to my collection eventually. You can often find a few of the games for sale on eBay. They all seem to be priced very similarly, around $600 each. But as far as the console, I have only been able to find one that has sold. Apparently the story goes that because the console was only released in Taiwan and apparently overpriced with such a small amount of games that it failed pretty spectacularly. It was so bad that they were forced to sell the company, at which point they destroyed all the remaining equipment from production and sold off all the remaining systems to the United States for scrap parts. Based on the one console that I found that was sold, I would estimate the value at around $4,000. Combat Wings, Great Battles of World War II for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Okay, so it was very hard to find any information about why these ones are so rare. My guess is because what type of game it is. It's your standard dogfighting flight simulator set during World War II, and I don't think there's much demand for these types of games. It seems like many people don't realize that the North American version is rare or even exists at all. I found out about it 5 years ago when I was collecting the rarest games for PlayStation 3, and I had a hard time confirming that it ever existed physically. Until I met someone when I was on vacation in Portland. He owned a game store, and he told me that he had in fact sold a copy of the North American version once, so I know it is out there. I would estimate the value on what I would pay, and since it's been so many years since I've seen one, I would say around $500 to $700. The Nintendo Dataship 1200. I wasn't expecting to find a Nintendo console on this list that wasn't a variant, especially a console I had never heard of or seen before, but here it is. I had previously heard of the console add-on that essentially does the same thing as this. That's called the Famicom Network System. This add-on attaches directly to the top of the Famicom and can be used to check stock prices and trade stock straight from the Famicom, and was later used for horse betting. So the Dataship 1200 does all the same things, but is a standalone console. They did not take game cartridges, they took modem cards, specifically for stocks or betting on horses. There were 5 games in development, but were never finished.
The add-on, the Famicom Network System, is surprisingly cheap and easy to find. It costs around $35. But the Dataship 1200 is impossible to find, so I would imagine that the way Nintendo collectors are, this could go for as high as $3,000 to $4,000 to the right buyer. Mystic Knights for PlayStation 2. Okay, so this is my personal white whale. I've been searching for this game ever since I first started collecting. As a PlayStation 2 collector and horror collector, this is both. If you want to see more of my PlayStation 2 collection, I have the 15 rarest PlayStation 2 games collection video. But this game is a Korean-only survival horror game, and it looks awesome. I've been in touch with people that live in or are vacationing to South Korea to try and track it down for me, but so far, in the last 10 years, no luck at all. From the gameplay, it looks like it plays very similarly to the early Resident Evil games, which makes it all the more desirable. Since I have never seen one of these for sale, I am going to go with what I would personally pay for the value estimate. I'd be just fine with paying $1,500 for it right now, and I'd go as high as $2,000. So if any of you guys have one in your collection, or have any information that could help me track one down, then please let me know.
Okay, so if I mentioned a game or console on this video that you've never heard of, could you please leave a like? Leaving a like helps this video get shown to more people so I can keep making these videos. Leave me a comment if I missed something that you know of, game or console, and subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.